Hey everyone, this is Chris, and you're listening to One Cross Radio. And today we are joined by the always fun Derailed crew of Christian,
Hello.
You don't have time
uh,
for this, do you?
Tommy,
Hi.
Mike,
Hello.
and Darko.
Yo.
Darko has such an intense look on his
He's about to
face.
kill someone.
No, I'm like he's going
planning
to
a murder.
leap through the Skype
What are you
video
talking about?
and kill.
I'm happy. I'm very happy.
He's
Why
attempting
did
to
I
use
do
his
that?
psychological powers to kill us through the computer.
So, dear listener, in case you don't know, today we are recording through Skype. So the audio quality might not be what it normally is, but we still want to have fun because one, we love seeing each other, and two, we need to not go crazy because of the quarantine. So this is a fun way to do this. Mike, that is a humongous glass of milk.
It's all perspective. It's huge now, but now it's regular size. It's all optics.
Milk was a bad choice.
Whoa!
Ah!
Oh goodness.
That's fun.
What kind of sandwich did you make?
It's a chicken.
Ooh.
Very, very, very basic. You ever had the President's Choice? What do they call it? It's like the natural meat, deli meat.
Oh, the no hormones added.
Purple.
sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It actually tastes like the meat it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
It
good. I
doesn't
like
taste
it.
like salt and preservatives. It's fantastic.
Oh.
dude. I can't remember the actual brand. All I know is it says on the package it's from New Zealand, but it's quite possibly the best ground beef I've had in years. You can pick it up from Metro. I wish I could remember the name, but it was like New Zealand ground beef. It's not supposed to have preservatives or anything. And I made some tacos the other night, and they were the best tacos I ever had because of this meat. It was just so delicious.
Now I want tacos.
I know, seriously. Now I'm like, oh man, can I just make some tacos?
I made
all right,
burritos the other night.
That's
Right
not the
on.
same dark.
That's fantastic. Darko.
I know, but it's still very. It's culturally adjacent.
No one cares
Yes.
about your burritos.
I just think it's
Shut
like,
up.
oh, taco, that's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Burritos are better than tacos. Come on.
Oh,
I don't think so.
Christian, I feel like
Yeah,
you
but-
appreciate this. That just reminded me from The Office, where it's like, yes, Daryl, the sales department makes sales. All right, so gentlemen, today we are doing a fun topic. It's going to be called Fantasy Film Derailed, because that's what these podcasts are when we all get together. There's no one train of thought. And what we're doing is we are pitching what our ideal DC universe of films would be. For me, I think you could go with Justice League. That's a good blueprint because that also tells you what the other movies could look like before you get to other like DC characters. But also just because Bond 25 is coming up soon. And then Bond is in another interesting position where it's going to need to, it's probably going to be rebooting. So why not? Let's just visit what's your ideal Bond going forward? So, gentlemen, the floor is yours. Who would like to go first?
Bond's an old man and he retires. That's my ideal.
That's an
Bond.
interesting idea. An old Bond, like old man Bond.
Yeah. He's retired. He's
really
gonna come out of retirement.
Well, there's a fan theory that is the movie The Rock. Like Sean Connery is an old James Bond that was put away for some reason.
I've never seen that movie. I should watch it.
I saw the first like
Gotta
20
have-
minutes of it, but then I lost interest.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's got a lot of love, but when I sat down and watched it, I was like, look, this isn't Armageddon. Like that's Michael Bay's best work. Like,
by far.
Yeah.
Far.
What? Armageddon?
yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yes, really. 150,000%.
I'm not. There is no irony to this statement, Darko. That movie is fantastic.
Armageddon, yeah.
Yes.
That's what you're going with? Yeah.
Okay, Darko. Okay, I'll indulge you. What's your favorite Michael Bay movie?
You know what? I would put Bad Boys above Armageddon.
Ah,
I haven't seen any of the Bad Boys. Are there 4 now or 3?
3.
What is it?
Three.
I haven't
Is it
seen
3?
any of them.
Yeah, the third one just came out in
You know what,
January.
Darko? That's a good call.
nice.
I think I'm on Darko's side for this. Bad Boys, I think was a lot more entertaining than Armageddon was.
I sat down and watched Bad Boys last year, and there's parts of it I really like, but then there's other parts where I'm like, it doesn't hook me the way Armageddon does, but Armageddon's got that absurdity factor to it. Like the absolute right kind of absurdity factor.
It's ridiculous.
Well, exactly. And then it's like,
It's
look,
absurd.
I'm in hook, line, and sinker for that. But then Bad Boys, where it's like, well, no, we're kind of real world, kind of. And I don't know, man. It was just like Martin Lawrence yelling a lot, and that's good in doses, but it didn't hook me for the whole movie. It's well made, especially as far as Michael Bay goes. But so Tommy, just curious, with
Yes.
your Bond idea, just because most of the time when people look at Bond, it is a franchise picture, and it's one that's not really going. I don't think that's a franchise that's ever necessarily going to go away unless it bombs repeatedly, and then even then, it's like, hey, we'll take a break for 5-10 years, and then we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
You see this as more of a like your standalone kind of Bond movie, or how do you see that going? Is he training the next Bond? Is Bond a title, a character, like the role you inherit, or is this just kind of like we're doing Old Man Logan but with Bond, which they kind of did a little bit in not Casino Royale, sorry, in Skyfall, because suddenly it's like, hey, even though a movie ago you were the fresh-faced new guy to the role, suddenly we're going to call you old the entire movie.
Well, to be honest, I don't have an answer for you because I just pulled that out of my butt.
Okay, that's fair.
I put no thought into it whatsoever before I said it, so I don't have an answer.
All right, that's fair. Darko, I know you said before we recorded you've kind of got some thoughts on Bond.
Yeah, I mean it's not a new idea, but it's certainly one that I am the most interested in, and that is that Bond or 007 isn't a person, but it's a code name. I think.
Well, that's the fan theory that's been going around for years.
Yeah.
I recognize some of its validity. Like the theory makes a good point, but I don't like it. Bond is Bond. He is a single man. He is not.
Oh,
a
okay.
code name.
Black Bond, female Bond, Asian Bond. How about all three?
Bond.
Like, so I as Mike and I were doing the watch along with Dinesh, after we stopped recording, we were talking about Bond, and I'm just kind of like, I'd love to see it. It is one of those franchises where when people look at it, it's like, we want the serious spy, but also it does get a little bit crazy, right? Like
there needs to be a level of absurdity to it.
Exactly.
A certain level of
Just because,
absurdity.
like, the thing is, it's not one or the other. It's both. It's been both for ages. And I've been listening to a really interesting podcast lately called Bondzilla, where one guy's like, hey, it's like two friends visiting, like introducing each other to their beloved franchises. One is the Bond guy and the other is the Godzilla guy. It's been really interesting. And then, as he pointed out with the Craig movies, they've really been stuck in the, like, this is serious. This is like the gritty one. And there's like, that's so many other spy movies right now. That's so many other like action movies, like
the Bourne movies,
the Bournes, now Mission Impossible kind of inhabits some of that older, like, crazier Bond territory. So it's just kind of like, man, they got to do something different, because then you can have your grittiness, but also the gadgets and the absurdity is kind of fun. I've been watching some of the Brosnan Bonds. I'm like, this is ridiculous, but it's so good.
Well, see, that's my issue with all these Daniel Craig Bond movies is they needed to be grounded. They needed to be grittier and grounded in reality because audiences these days wouldn't accept something like a Roger Moore Bond movie where it's making fun of itself. But the Daniel Craig movies don't have that, like I said, pinch of absurdity. They don't have the gadgets. Like in which one was it? Skyfall, where he had a car that kind of did things, but it didn't work. Like that was a slap in the face to me. I wanted a car that did cool things like all the other Bond cars. But they just kind of like, and they even had a line in there like "no gadgets this time" or something like that, just to spite me. I know it was for me. Like there needs, like it doesn't need to be over the top. It needs like just give Bond something cool that he could use, like a car with an ejector seat. Well, that's been done before, but like a pen that explodes, like in GoldenEye. Just give him something, like give him 2 gadgets a movie.
Well, the pen one's interesting just because a couple months ago I was on a similar like little Bond kick, and Jill and I watched through all the Craig ones except for Quantum of Solace. And in Skyfall, they kind of like made fun of the exploding pen, but then in Spectre, he uses an exploding pen. But it's like the whole time they've been really tongue in cheek, or not even tongue in cheek. They've been mocking the gadgets a bit, and you're like, just roll with it, man. So I don't know. I'd love to see the franchise figure out a way to incorporate both. My like going forward, my ideal Bond, because I think that maybe they've missed the boat on Idris, although he'd still be excellent. Mike, I know I've always been with you on this. Michael Fassbender, I think, would be amazing as Bond.
Oh, Idris Elba would be. That sounds like a perfect choice.
Yeah, he'd be good too, but he's getting a little old. That's the problem.
So,
but he's still pretty fit.
Bond in space. That's how you bring back the absurdity.
That's a little too far. On
007 Space Force.
That was Moonraker. So.
Oh, that's true. Bond versus Predator.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Yes, I realize I rejected Christian's idea earlier. But, I embraced that one.
Wheelchair.
Bond in a transforming wheelchair. No, that's stupid. But Bond versus Predator.
You're stupid.
Okay, so.
Oh, Bond versus Batman. Gadgets versus gadgets. Come on.
Yeah, Batman wins that one though.
Yeah, Batman would totally win that one. But
of course. But, I mean, it's Batman. It'd be an entertaining ride.
I watched that Batman versus Ninja Turtles movie. Like I had seen a snippet of it a couple months back, and I thought it was really bad because it came in on the part where all the bad guys are exposed to ooze and they become monsters. And I thought that was really stupid. But I saw the whole movie, and if you cut out just that one part where all the monsters are or all the bad guys are monsters, it would be an awesome movie. Like everything around that center is amazing.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
That first and third act are outstanding. That kind of loses. Okay, so would you guys want it to be with Bond? Would you want it to? Sorry, I'm trying to keep us back. Am I cutting in and out?
Yeah. You like it. There's no continuity to what you were saying.
Figured out the context.
Man. All right, I should record the. Oh no, it's too late.
Too late, Chris.
All right,
20 minutes too late.
With the with Bond, would you like it to be kind of lifted from the Craig era, where it is, with the exception of Spectre, which was suddenly like, hey, let's retroactively add all this context and continuity. Yeah. Even before that, it was more continuity heavy than some of the other Bond films. Would you like it to still have that, or go back towards, like, it's a franchise, there's sequels, but they're standalones. Like, you don't need to see the previous movie to hop in. Like, you can watch, say, Tomorrow Never Dies without ever seeing GoldenEye, or License to Kill without ever seeing Dr. No, or anything like that.
I prefer that they're like the standalone sort of Bond, like that you don't need to watch them in order. It's not Marvel here. I don't need like an overarching universe to follow. Just give me a fun action movie with Bond blowing stuff up with pens and whatnot, and like shoes that have knives in them, like somebody throwing a hat Like, come
Yeah.
on, that's what I want.
Yeah, like if you look at the Connery movies, they work as standalone movies. You can watch them and not know what's going on, but they also do have a continuity to them. So something like that is good.
They
You don't
do?
have to see. Yeah, they do. There's Spectre and as the
Right.
as the
Right.
thread through all of them.
Okay, yeah.
But you don't need to see. Let's see. You don't need to see Goldfinger to understand what's going on in not Die Another Day. You Only Live Twice.
Hmm.
Like you don't need, but it's nice to have that extra bit of information, so you can kind of say, oh, well, this is the big crime syndicate that's pulling all the strings, but it doesn't really matter. You can still enjoy the movie.
Yeah, just like loosely tied
Right.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
What you watching, Chris?
I'm not watching anything.
You keep looking over your shoulder like there's someone about to kill you, or there's a cat about to kill you.
I'm watching. I was playing Stellaris before this, so I have it on like normal speed, and I'm just checking.
Just checking your progress.
Yeah,
right on.
I'm listening.
You know, I think a really underrated Bond girl is Denise Richards.
You think so?
So wait, Darko, is
Wow.
joking or?
You never know.
No, I think people tend to forget about her, but I think she was just a really good Bond girl. Like she.
Well, so I watched The World
You're
Is
good
Not
to go.
Enough last night.
It's not
and
a great
just-
movie or good, but
So it's like so many people. That's the thing that people remember, and unfortunately, with Brosnan's Bond, like people tend to focus on Die Another Day, and the absurdity that happened in that, and then they're like, and then there's Denise Richards running around as a nuclear physicist.
Yeah,
But the whole time,
believable.
but the whole time it's like, hey, we'll have you dress as a supermodel instead of as a nuclear physicist in the field would dress. But then as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, and then listen to that Bondzilla podcast where they go into the behind the scenes stuff, where her role had changed like 3 or 4 times. At one point, she was supposed to be an insurance person, then kind of a bounty hunter, which was weird. And then eventually they settled on this role, like right before filming started. And then she got cast not too long before. And there's certain points where you're like, wow, this performance isn't good. But then there's brief flashes of like, oh, that was a really good take. Like, I wish you could have done that more consistently. And when people bag on her the most, I'm like, I just think you're focusing on some of the bad stuff instead of looking at the performance and what she brought all together. Because she brought some good stuff. They also didn't give her much to do for like the back half of the movie. She was just like, well, I'm along for the ride for no reason.
yeah. No.
Yeah.
I didn't buy her as a nuclear physicist, but
Yeah.
as a Bond lady, she was decent. Like I think she gets a lot of flack, but I think she did a great job. Yeah, I think that was one of the best parts of that movie.
All right, so if that's it for Bond, why don't we switch to DC? So DC, a very, let's say, rough go. We'll go with that. Or
That's
very
generous.
inconsistent go. Where they've had some, like when I did my rankings, I'm like, all right, I'll say you had more misses than hits. But the hits they've had have done like financially really well, and 2 or 3 of the movies were Wonder Woman definitely got the most critical acclaim, but even Aquaman and Shazam also got good critical and fan reception notice. There wasn't that divide that there is with, say, Man of Steel, Justice League, or Batman, Superman, where the audience score and the critic score are very different. Like both of these, they were in similar ballparks, but they've done it wrong. I think it's safe to say. So I guess, all right, I'll get others to go first. What do you think they need to do if if they're rebooting it. Like for the longest time, it's been, well, Wonder Woman's their cash cow. We can't just throw everything out because then we're throwing out that. But let's just say we're throwing out Wonder Woman. We're starting from scratch. What do you got? Like, what do you guys think? Which characters do you bring in? Do you have any ideas, like your fun casting for it? And what would you like to see?
I don't think you throw Wonder Woman out. I think you throw Batman vs Superman out. You throw Justice League out.
Twice.
And then yes, and you continue with. I mean, even Man of Steel was not like it was a really good start. That could have been like a really good jumping off point for the DCU. So keep Man of Steel. Maybe make a sequel. But yeah, throw out BVS, throw out Justice League, and then continue on. Wonder Woman was fantastic. Aquaman was fantastic. You got the new Batman movie coming out, and then you use Robert Pattinson's Batman, and you make a new Justice League movie with Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller if you still want him to be your Flash, but I mean Grant Gustin would be the better choice. But yeah, you move on from Wonder Woman forward is what I think.
Well, I'll also toss in this what you can do by saying toss out. I mean, you can say we're going to toss out a story, but keep the actor, just like J.K. Simmons showing up now in the new Spider-Man MCU movies. That's going to be a different J. Jonah Jameson than it was in the Raimi movies.
True.
Where that's the only thing I wanted coming over from those Spider-Man movies is like J.K. Simmons is perfect for this role. Mm-hmm. Those movies just sucked. Get him back, keep him. So you can do something like that with this.
I still stand by my initial stance though, or my initial statement. Like
Okay.
I love Batman vs Superman. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it was poorly done. They needed to build up to that by having a Batman solo movie, maybe a Superman sequel, and then a Batman vs Superman. So yeah, throw all those out and then build towards a proper Batman vs Superman. And that should happen after a Justice League movie. Like, ridiculous the way
everything was just like out of order or rushed, and then like the wrong I want to say time period. Like we're introduced to Batman as
the old man,
old Batman, really. Yeah.
All of his best villains have already been defeated, and Joker's already killed Robin, but they don't like. I want to better understand why he's the angry, grizzled Batman that he is in that movie, and the only way to understand that is by seeing the events of Joker killing Robin, and
everything else.
They failed. And everything else. But at least that, like there should have been an even 20-minute flashback scene of Joker and Robin, and Batman rushing to try to save him.
Something, that's the. I pondered. I knew Chris was going to ask a question like this, so I pondered this as I lay in bed when I woke up this morning.
Sexy.
Thank you. The problem, like, I'm not saying that they needed to follow Marvel's formula, because you can't just say, "Oh, do it like Marvel, do it like Marvel." But
I mean, you can.
Marvel did.
It
worked. You can. Yeah, exactly. It worked. But I guess it. In essence, what I'm about to say is do it like Marvel. But what I'm going to say anyway is. DC didn't make us care about the characters. We weren't introduced to the characters before Justice League or even before Batman versus Superman, really.
Yeah.
They were just thrown in there. Like, if you didn't know anything about Batman's history, you didn't know anything about Wonder Woman, like, or you didn't know like what's up with this Aquaman guy. Is he a fish? Like, if you didn't know anything, like, you have no emotional involvement. Like, look at the Avengers movie, the first movie. Everyone had their own movie except for Hawkeye and kind of Incredible Hulk. Like, he was a soft rebooted Incredible Hulk.
But they all had like focal roles in other standalone movies. Like Black Widow was involved in what I think 3 of them before the Avengers. 2. Hawkeye was involved in 2 of them before the Avengers, or maybe it was just the one. I think it was just the one with
He was
Thor.
in Thor, and yeah, I think that's about it. But
Yeah.
still, we got to know the characters even a little bit, right?
Yeah, they were
It's-
introduced to us. We got their names. We got to see a little bit of character development with them.
And the audience was able to make an emotional connection, whether good or bad, or strong, or
Goodness.
weak.
Even like Hawkeye, because like he really like he was meant to be,
Phallocentric
like what,
mindset.
15 minutes in Thor max, and he's got like 2 lines. In Avengers, right at the beginning, when Loki taps his heart and like takes him over, like mind controls him,
Yeah.
I felt like I was connected to that.
Well, I was
knowing
upset for a
who-
different reason, because I love Hawkeye and I wanted to see him awesome. But then as soon as he's taken over and become a zombie, I'm like, oh, they're gonna do this to Hawkeye.
Yeah, but then
But,
he's like almost the standout character of Age of or roughly a week of Ultron, right?
He is the star of all the subsequent movies, because any movie that does not involve him, the Avengers lose in. He's the star of every movie, even if he's not in it.
The guy with the least powers, the least armor, wears a bow and arrow against machines. He's the key.
And
He was great in
acknowledges
Civil War.
that-
Like
Yeah.
his bit in Civil War was so good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I even just that line when he's fighting off with or facing off with the Black Panther, and he's just like, I don't think we've met. I'm Clint. He's like, I don't care. It's like just that little moment is that's perfect
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Okay, so I'll say I'm kind of 2 minds. I've got 2 different ideas. One, if you wanted to give, because there is a fan base for this incarnation of the DCEU, I'd say you could do flashpoint it, because that way
to
you
undo everything.
to undo
To
everything
reset everything. I should say,
and give like that form of the way they've been telling those stories, because especially for the first bunch, the consistent thing was the more serious tone, the more heaviness of it, where you're like, okay, and then 45-minute CGI battles that got just increasingly worse. Like, you could say farewell to that through Flashpoint. But the other thing
a good
is,
way to reboot it.
the other thing, though, is I think, even though I get where you're coming from, Mike, with the Marvel model, I think you could use something out of DC's own playbook, where in their excellent cartoon universe, especially through the 90s, where you had Batman the animated series, you had Superman the animated series, and then they dropped Justice League. So you could do like 1 or 2, probably 2 Batman movies, 2 Superman movies, where they're going on roughly the same time. So it shows that they're in the same world. You can reference some stuff going on loosely about some of the other heroes, but then you end off Superman 2 and Batman 2 with, I mean, 90% of the time it's a giant team up movie, especially in the original comic runs. It was because, in the Avengers original case, it was because of the Hulk going on a rampage. But other than that, it's mostly because of a giant invading army. So you do that. You jump into Justice League. You can market it off of Batman, Superman, and Superman. They are 2 out of 3 of the biggest names in comics. Those movies will always make money.
Absolutely.
But then over the course of that movie, that's where you reintroduce Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Yeah, like, I'm modeling this off of the first couple episodes of the Justice League cartoon, but it was purely off of Batman and Superman. But then this is a threat too big even for them. So then they need to team up with these other guys. So that's where you can bring in the Flash. You can bring in all that. You can do what they tried with Justice League, but do it much better.
Like, don't have Superman dead for 3/4 of the movie. What the hell?
Or have dead after one of his, like, one solo movie. We barely even got to know him.
So as you're doing that, but then you get, like, of course Batman and Superman are going to have big moments, but you give these standout moments to these other characters, because that's what's going to get them in. Batman and Superman, whether in good movies or bad movies, they're always going to sell. So you give the big moments to the new characters. Bring back Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, because she's fantastic.
It was good casting.
But then you can bring in, like, no offense,
we need the Green Lantern, man.
Exactly.
For sure.
No offense.
I would love to see Ryan Reynolds do the Green Lantern again, but do it better. Like
His way.
there was nothing wrong with him in that movie. It's the movie itself is terrible.
Well, he's
No
just
offense,
get Idris Elba to be Black Green Lantern.
Yeah,
I think
John Stewart.
John Stewart, yes. I always forget his name.
I was gonna say, I think Ryan Reynolds, like he's shown that he understands what makes a character, and I think like while he does have, he seems to have like an affinity, like an intrinsic affinity for Deadpool as a character. I think he's like I said, I think he's demonstrated just as he has an ability to look at the character and understand really what makes that character tick, or the essence, or what makes fans drawn to that character. So I think he would be an amazing pick for Green Lantern, but give him the control, maybe not like Deadpool control, but just let him,
Let him run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got the personality for Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
So I'll also say, I think, because I
just
said
love everything he does.
I said it was too different. I think we could do where you do like Flashpoint, because then one of the things I liked about the early side of the DCEU, but it never lived up to its potential, was its lived-in quality. As much as I do enjoy Phase 1 of the Marvel movies, outside of Iron Man and Avengers, I rarely go back to them just because it's like, look, I know the origin, especially with the Avengers, where it's like, I don't want to see you becoming a team. I just want to see you be the team.
Oh,
so
I do.
Then,
my heart melts every time. That when they're standing in front of Grand Central Station and they're all like in a circle.
That part.
Like,
that part's
my
cool.
heart skips a beat every time.
That part's cool. But if I'm being honest about the Avengers movies, I go back to Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame the most. But between those first two, I go back to Ultron more than the first Avengers movie, just because it doesn't have the weird cinematography choices at points, but then also like I just want to see them be a team. I want to see them interact and flow as a team. But
whenever I watch one of them, I have to watch all of them. That's just the way.
So we do Flashpoint, and you could do it where Batman. You don't have to do the Batman or Superman origin story. Children come out the womb knowing, like, Superman's from Krypton, Krypton's gone, and Batman's parents got murked in an alley. Like, you do not need those origin stories.
Exactly.
But you could do the living quality a bit, and then with this new landscape, then it's like, oh, hey, I want to go back and get to know this stuff. And then that gives you opportunities for prequels or whatever, so you can get current stuff or however it's going. What on earth is going on?
I'm just fixing my robe, that's all. And I, for some reason, kept disappearing.
I'm glad you didn't open it.
I'm wearing clothes underneath, guys.
That's good.
Jeez.
Okay, let me tell you about Flashpoint. This is my opinion on this. Flashpoint is obviously a fantastic story, and it would be a great opportunity to reboot the damage that's been done already. Let's call it damage. But Flashpoint is such an event, it's such a crucial, integral story that they can't just do it the way it is now. You can't just do the way the universe is right now. First, we need to get to know the Flash a little bit better.
Yeah, we need to watch one solo Flash movie.
Yeah, we need to feel the stakes of first Barry messing everything up and then fixing everything and seeing what's happened as a result.
Yeah. Like the end of the first Flash movie could be him going back and changing the timeline.
Or then it could be some tease about changing. Like he just learns how to go through time or something at the end.
Yeah, something like that. And then maybe the next one you just kicks right into Flashpoint's happen or
right.
I don't know, but you build up to it. You have to.
Oh no, I agree.
You can't just do it.
See,
because you'll ruin the how do you say? Like you're right off that event. Like you can't do it again. You have to do it right the first time.
Or if you're gonna do it a second time, you need to make damn sure you get it right. X-Men.
I love a recast.
Oh yeah.
Ezra Miller, please. I don't like him as the Flash.
No, I don't care for him as
I don't believe him as Barry Allen.
As an actor, he's fantastic. Like
yes.
But I don't know about him as the Flash. Maybe they just didn't write him right. Maybe it was just because he was just here he is. Like we didn't get to know him. But, no, he's.
I've got that preference for Wally, so I'd just be like, look, Wally. I want Wally.
Yeah, just make him Wally West. That would solve some things. He's not Barry Allen.
No, and that's the thing. Like it's my inherent bias just because Wally was the Flash when I got in. into the Flash, just like Jon Stewart and then Kyle Rayner were the more interesting of the Green Lanterns for me. Where it's when it's always in the Lanterns case, like it's Hal Jordan. I'm like, I don't care about Hal Jordan anymore. Like just
I'm all
same
for a
with
Wally
Barry
West.
Allen. It's just like just give me Wally. Just give me the
I'm
more
all for a
interesting
Wally West, but I
character.
feel like you need to have a Barry Allen before you have a Wally West.
Yes, exactly. That's the problem I have with Ant-Man, is that they skipped right over Hank Pym and went to
Yeah.
Scott Lang.
See, that's where I think you can do some of that. Like earlier, how I said if you do, I just don't know how to do it without Flashpoint. So that's fair, and I don't want to sacrifice Flashpoint, but that's the only way I can think of how you do a reboot where it sets up that lived in quality, and it's like now we as the audience have to catch up. But you could do that story where it's Wally, but then you can revisit through a Wally prequel or whatever, where it's like, here's Barry. Barry's got the starring role. This is how he trained. This is how he became the Flash. Man, or if you could somehow ever get to Crisis, some of the DC Crises, because the first one,
Yeah.
Barry dies, but then a later one, the one in the early 2000s before Flash Rebirth came out, like Barry's suddenly back, but it's because he never died. He was just outrunning death in the Speed Force, and then he comes back screaming. He comes back screaming, and it's like, that would be an interesting thing. You come back from this character who everybody thought was dead. So I admit it's difficult, but I'd like to see something like that where you've got the clean slate, but you don't have to do everything linearly, right? Because that also gives you more freedom where you can explore earlier stuff and concurrent stuff. You could have, yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
All right, so Darko, any thoughts?
Yeah,
You've been
Darko, you've been
silent
silent for a long time.
Yeah, I just want a good DC verse movie.
Yeah, I don't think that's a lot to ask, really.
I can't name
Or it should be.
name you one live action DC movie that I actually like
Fingers
sat
crossed
through
for
and
Batman.
enjoyed. I will say I watched BVS on 2.5 times speed,
Yeah.
just to get through, and it was a
It was
slog.
still slow.
It was yeah. So I'm wondering why, since the animated DC verse movies worked so well, why the live actions didn't.
Yeah.
Dude,
He's
like,
frozen in
it's-
shock.
It's all right there. Like it's
Yeah, I
all
know,
right there. They have no excuse.
I know, exactly. That's what I've been saying for so long, is you have the blueprint. You know how to do it. Like, part of your company knows how to do it right.
Yeah,
Why can't the other guys do it?
literally just take one of the comic books and film it scene for scene, and you'll be perfect.
Like even if you don't do it based off of the animated series like I suggested, then use some of the animated movie Justice League movies where it was, I think, Justice League War or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like that was the first one where it was the team coming together. Like you could just do that. They have no excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't mean like a shot for shot.
Right.
But like that they had the animated series has, or the animated verse has a great template that they could pick up on, but they just don't. What?
Sorry, I'm laughing at Christian.
Christian's
Sorry,
very subtle chip bag
Christian's
opening.
getting into some ASMR territory here. Just
The bug eyes. The bug eyes is what got me. Though.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, Darko. That's been a point of contention. Okay, so do you think there's any elements from the current films that, or the current DCEU, that they could transfer over beyond just, say, Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill?
Affleck was a good Batman. He could have been great. They just didn't let him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could have been great. If they had let him go or if they had him go like a bit of a younger route and not that old grizzled Batman, I think we could have gotten like 3-4 really decent Batman movies out of Ben Affleck. But
Yeah.
I think Margot Robbie, her Harley Quinn has to roll over. I mean, I wasn't sold on her as Harley Quinn after Suicide Squad. Like, I thought it was really good. I thought she was like really good as Harley Quinn. I mean, but Birds of Prey like just sold me on. Yeah, I'm not saying Suicide Squad was good.
I
I'm
was
saying
about to say like that was
she was
that
good
a
in Suicide
clarifier.
Squad as Harley. Yeah, and then Birds of Prey like just that beyond repair like sold me on her. I was like, so she's got to stick around.
Well,
Actually, I mean, everybody in that movie has to stick around.
What was that, Darko?
give me Black Canary. Like that's.
Oh, they do in Birds of Prey.
She's in Birds of
Sorry,
Prey.
done well.
Yeah.
'Cause I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
Is Black Mask in Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
Yes.
How is he done? Is he good?
Different from the comic and
Okay.
different from most of his portrayals in the animated movies and stuff. But dude, Ewan McGregor is just having the time of his life
Yeah.
in that role. Like he's playing it different, but he puts in the right kind of way where he puts his own stamp on it. Where every time he was on the screen, I'm just like, this is so much fun. Like he knows exactly the movie he's in,
Yeah.
and he just has a field day.
I kind of wish they hadn't killed him though, because he'd be a good recurring bad guy.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's
Like, it's a
really
shame, though-
dead in comic books.
I don't
Except
know,
Uncle
man.
Ben. Uncle Ben.
He's always dead.
There's
He's
no
the
Dinger's
only
character.
one
Has to
that's-
get like blown up. I'm pretty sure he's like dead.
He's the only one that stays dead. Like for the longest time, it was Bucky and Jason Todd and Uncle Ben. But then within the same year, they brought back Bucky and Jason Todd.
At least they did something good with both of the resurrections, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't just like they're dead. Oh, and they're back.
Oh,
'cause
and they're
Thanos.
back because
the
we
Red
need
Hood
to sell more.
is so good.
Yeah.
Like an amazing Batman villain, Red Hood.
we gotta do a podcast about the Mask.
Like the
Like the Jim Carrey movie.
No, like the comics that it's based on, because
Oh, I haven't read those.
I haven't read those.
They're
I've seen them,
amazing.
never read.
Yeah.
Oh, very violent, very.
I'm gonna-
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Right
no,
up my
that's
alley. I'm gonna check him out.
It's
I like
it's out of this
I like the
world.
Preacher graphic novel. Preacher's really good read.
I haven't read that one either.
I don't think you'll like it, Chris.
I know.
a lot of cursing. Like every page is just like littered with curses.
Well, that's who's the writer of that again? Garth
Seth
Ennis.
Oh, I have no idea. I can't remember. It's, my
it's at the
my
show.
comics are all packed away at the moment.
I think it's if I'm right, it's he's a guy who went on to write the Punisher comics in the early 2000s, which the Thomas Jane Punisher was loosely based on, and it was a violent but interesting run. I guess if something that I liked in the DCEU, the tone in Man of Steel, just with him being the outsider and the government not trusting him, I like that tone a lot because I'm like, that makes sense. Any country, but especially America, like the super powerful alien landing in, who has basically the powers of a god, they're not just going to trust him willy-nilly. So I liked that a lot, but I don't think they ever like followed through with that enough. So, but we also never got a proper sequel. So I'd bring that over. I'd bring Henry Cavill back because he's outstanding, but let him play a proper Superman, like the Superman we got in the last like 20 minutes or whatever it was of Justice League, where he's hopeful and optimistic and saving people. That'd be good.
Indeed.
Okay, is there any characters that they haven't done that you would like to see them do, I guess, in this new one?
Ooh, Killer Croc.
Yeah. that'd be
Interesting.
Killer Croc would be dope as hell. I don't even think they've done him at all in the live action.
No, they haven't.
cool. I think they alluded
versus-
to him. They said like alligators in the sewer or something like that.
Yeah.
But-
Wait, wasn't he in Suicide Squad?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he?
that was so bad though.
That wasn't really Killer Croc though.
It was
No,
all
no.
right up until a point because his head was huge, and you're like, oh man, when he takes off that coat, he's gonna be like really ridiculously buffed and everything, and then he's like super skinny. He's got like a giant head on
Yeah.
an Eric Foreman body on a Topher Grace.
What's wrong with an Eric Foreman body, Chris?
Yeah,
Hey,
I got an Eric Foreman body.
An
Same,
Eric
man.
Foreman body is fine, but not
Yeah.
when you put like a
Y.
giant head on it. It doesn't
Yeah.
line up. The proportions are way off, is what I'm saying.
And here's another one, Swamp Thing.
Oh, that could be interesting.
I think. Well, they had the series, but that got canceled pretty quick.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they're doing something with that still, I think, or maybe they just killed it after the
Well,
series failed.
he made an appearance in Justice League Dark, which I really liked.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, oh, this is okay. And then it kind of grew on me the more I thought about it. And now I'm super stoked about the next one that's coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out soon, I think.
Yeah.
There's two characters that I'd really like to see done well in the DCEU. Martian Manhunter is one of them.
Yes.
That would be an amazing addition. Crap, what was the other one? I was just thinking about it. Come back to me.
Well, Martian Manhunter was actually in Smallville, played by Jackie Childs.
Yeah, Jackie Childs, yeah, or whatever his real name is.
Yeah, he's also in the Supergirl series.
Yeah, he's in Supergirl, but he looks weird.
Yeah.
Well, so
Constantine was the other one. I want to see Constantine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And like actually brought into the DCU as opposed to his own standalone movie. Like that would be fantastic.
Played by Keanu Reeves, who actually played.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I watched it recently on Netflix, and I'm like, this is a good movie. It's fun. It's bad, but it's good.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't remember the actor's name. And he played Cable and Thanos. Josh Brolin. There we go.
Yeah.
Just bring back Josh Brolin as Jonah Hex.
Yeah, Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex would be another good one. I really like how the Crisis on Infinite Earths, the CW, like all the CW shows, how they came together. They brought in Jonah Hex. They brought in like everybody. It was incredible. Their Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I haven't watched it yet.
Burt Ward was in it.
Was he? That's awesome. Oh man.
Everybody was in it. It's
Did
so
you guys
cool.
see the animated movies they did based on the Batman 66 show?
I haven't downloaded.
I've seen parts of what's that one called? Something about Joker.
The second
Joker was? No.
The second one was Two-Face, and Two-Face was voiced by William Shatner, which I was
Oh, yeah?
what? And it makes perfect sense where you're like, it's Shatner and Adam West. Like, that lines up. That casting.
Yeah, I saw a piece of the first one they did, but I can't remember the title of it.
Yeah, neither can
I think it was just Return of the Caped Crusader.
Yeah.
That and the Batman 66 comic run made me like really appreciate the Adam West Batman again, because for the longest time I was like, no, this almost ruined Batman, and it ruined Robin. Everybody still thinks of that Robin as Robin, and that's not Robin.
Oh, but I love that show. I have the whole series just over there. I was eagerly anticipating it being released on home video of some sort for years, and then they finally got it out on like newly restored and everything, and Darko's gone, and anyway, newly restored, and it looks great, and I got it on Blu-ray, and I only watched a few episodes of it, but it's so good.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. That's true.
All right, so yeah, I'm with Tommy. I would definitely bring in Martian Manhunter. I was gonna say earlier, like in this new, when you do the Justice League, like no offense to Cyborg or his fans, I'm just not that big on that character.
He doesn't deserve to be in the first lineup for sure.
And he would work.
Green Lantern,
and he
or
works
Martian
more
Manhunter.
in the and he works more along with the Titans anyway. So then, if you're gonna bring in somebody, then yeah, Martian Manhunter. Because then you can go with as close to the original lineup as possible. Shazam.
Why mess with the original lineup, though? You know, like...
Well, No,
was a
that's
great
what
lineup.
it was. But then also the problem is you had the original lineup coming out when it did. By the point that we're making the Justice League movie, Aquaman, outside of comic book fans, was still a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Super Friends,
The
I
Super
hate
Friends
that
version.
show because of what it did to Aquaman. Like
Well-
it turned him into such a joke. But it,
I was gonna say maybe Momoa has taken it back.
Momoa, and it lifted from a fair bit from the Jeff Johns run, which was great, where it addressed like nobody thinks it takes you seriously head on, where it's he's the butt of the joke and the joke is happening to his face, but he's still doing everything where you're like, I'm in. That's interesting. Wow. Who,
Hello.
why can I hear myself so loud?
I don't know. You were
Yeah.
echoing. It's weird.
Yeah, that's really weird.
I think it stopped.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, Darko, you're the only one without headphones.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot better than we used to, actually. You were fuzzy
What
for a
was that?
while.
What'd you
Oh,
say?
perfect.
No.
You were very muffled for the first, I don't know, hour.
For the first
Yeah.
entire podcast.
Yeah, up until this very moment. No, seriously, you were very muffled the whole time. It's like you were through the wall.
We can
He's
understand what you were
underwater.
saying, but yeah.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
under the
that's
water,
the sea.
exactly. I really want to have like bubbles float up.
Darko's
Yeah,
approaching
that'd
the Aquaman, guys. I think that's what's going on here.
I can change my bet.
Nah, Darko's Aqualad, not Aquaman.
He's Aqua Velva.
Nice.
So other characters I'd like to see. I'd love to see Nightwing show up.
Ooh,
Definitely Jason
Yeah.
Todd.
But in time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, you
Not
gotta build
immediately.
we need a Batman movie, then we need Robin to be introduced into the Batman movies, then we need
Like 4 movies.
Then we need-
in.
and then we need that Robin to then become Nightwing so that we can get Jason Todd, so then Joker can kill Jason Todd and then he can come back as the Red. Like we're talking about like 15 years worth of movies here.
yeah.
Yeah.
See,
There needs to be a solid 6 movies at least.
I guess the thing with me is like I'm looking at the model of the animated movies where they're kind of free to, even though they have their own continuity, they can kind of drop the earlier one and then drop a later one, and then it's like it all connects. It's all the same characters, it's all the same
Yeah.
people, and I wouldn't mind seeing that in live action, because I find if you're doing we got to do it exactly as we did in the comics, where it's like we got to get 4 movies with Dick Grayson, we got to do this, we got to do this. It's like that's going to slog things down, and then we might never get to those characters. We might never get to Cassandra Cain as Batgirl, and Cassandra Cain was friggin' awesome as Batgirl. Or we can't get to Red Hood because X, Y, and Z, the Dick Grayson Batman movies bomb, or whatever it is. So if you do the animated movie approach, that's what I'd like, where you can have him as Nightwing, but then flesh in, or kind of do what Marvel may do, something Marvel hasn't done, where you've got stuff in the movies, but then you can do stuff on streaming service like HBO Max, but then film.
Well, very well put, Chris.
Did I cut
I
out
agree.
again?
I agree.
I
Oh man.
And like the video footage, you were like jumping around on the video footage too. It was like really jerky.
Okay,
It was pure House of Pain.
It was hilarious.
Oh man. Where did I get lost? Dang it.
Like from the beginning.
Okay,
The entire thing you said was just jumbled.
Something
All right,
about
I'll try to
HBO
do-
Max, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no. I'll try to do a shorter version. Like I think you could do stuff where you could do something which Marvel isn't even doing with the streaming services, which you could do the story on the big screen, but then you can take these characters and throw them on HBO Max, which will have all the DC shows, and that's where you can flesh out some of the backstory. That's where you can get a lot of the stuff with Jason Todd as Robin. You can get a lot of the stuff with with Tim Drake, or all that. You can use the shows to flesh out the universe with the movie and those characters, but then the movies can tell more.
Now, I'm not saying that is a bad idea, because it's not a bad idea. I just hate the idea that I have to get all these other streaming services so I can continue to see the story and like understand like
Yes.
how they're getting to the points in the movies. Forget all that.
Well, up in Canada,
I
it'll come
almost
out on
swore.
Crave,
I almost swore, but I
but-
did not. Forget all of that though. I want I just want to be able to go to the movie theater and see my stories, man.
Yeah, well, that's the problem I have with what Disney's done with Star Wars. Is to fully understand what's going on, you need to read the books and the comics and play the games and do everything. You can't just go to the movies and understand and get the
Yeah.
story and have additional
That's
little
fair.
tidbits that are nice from the supplemental media.
Even like and like it's not, and that's the worst part about Star Wars is that it's not even like it's you're reading about the in betweens. Like the book version of Rise of Skywalker is so different from the movie, and it explains so much, and
Yes.
everything makes so much more sense. Like,
Yes.
I don't want to watch the movie and then read the book to fill in the lines that the movie should have already filled in.
Wait, there's a book?
Yes, there's a
Books for
novelization.
all of them.
Yeah, all of the movies have novelizations of them.
Oh. I'm
They've
gonna
been
buy the
having
book.
had novelizations since '77.
Mike, I wasn't. You know what? I don't. Just
But yeah, right.
shut the mouth.
I hate that the Rise. I got want to read it.
Come over here and say that to my face.
I'm
But I
saying
don't
it
want
to
to have
this.
to read.
Out of my face! Out of my face! Out of my
Say it-
face!
Saying it to. Ah!
You know what? I think that's fair.
Wait,
and that's an
Tommy
issue
said a
I
whole
have
bunch
with.
that I missed.
Ah,
Tommy
Yeah.
said like a whole bunch while Mike and I were screaming at each other.
Oh, I was saying like I was just saying like I want to read the book because I want to better understand the movie. I just don't want to have to read the book to better understand what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like the book goes into about how Palpatine was a clone and
Yeah.
all of that, and it's like, well,
What?
That would have been good to know in the
Hey,
movie.
don't say, I want to read the books, man. What, you, what was the whole, what, you didn't even say like spoiler alert for
the
anyone who might
movie's
be
been out
listening.
for so long. The
Well,
movie is
no,
on
you're-
DVD
don't-
now.
You know what? You did something wrong, and now you won't even apologize. So you're twice the d-bag than you would have been if you
I'm
just
not
said, "My
apologizing
bad,
because
man."
you're too lazy to watch a movie that you can download, man.
There's a statute of limitations, and we are past it.
Yeah.
It's not a statute.
Because if
It's a
until literally
statute.
everybody on Earth has read it, we're not past the statute. Okay?
It's like murder. There's no statute on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I do think that was a fair point, Tom. That I guess
but the
with
streaming services and whatnot.
well, yeah, no, just because with me, I agree with you with Star Wars, and that's where I think Star Wars has gotten lazy, where it's been like you have to read the book to get this, instead of
Yeah.
it
Here's a
flushing it
little
out. Where with the streaming service, I guess in my head, it's like you can give the event in the movie, like you can address the event, but then it's if you want to get the full story of the event. Because then the thing is with all these comic stories that we'd love to see on the big screen and fleshed out, we're not going to get all of them ever.
True. See, I'm okay with the idea of like it being like series and stuff, as long as it's not like the introduction of a character. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have it so that I can understand why Jason Todd's in a movie when like they're, you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, no,
I'm okay. Like I just won't get the streaming service if I won't pay for it if I don't have to see their origins. You know what I mean?
So an example of that could be say in a new Batman movie, or one thing I liked about the idea of Batman Superman, although again they executed it very poorly, was the lived in quality where it's like we're coming up to a Batman who they leaned into the old side way too hard, but where Robin's already like Robin has already been killed. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and then you could use this. Then you could use this the service, the show to show the events of the Joker killing that Robin. If we're not going to get the film, that's what you do. Or if a Batman movie, you're introduced like Batman who's been Batman for, I don't know, say 5 years or so, and Dick Grayson is Nightwing, then you can do the show that shows Dick Grayson as Robin becoming Nightwing. Like what led to that split off. So then that way you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have Tim Drake as Robin without having to wait to go through all this crap just to get there. Or
I can get behind that, yeah. But I mean, I'd rather it be a movie. But
no,
yeah.
no, that's fair. I'd love to get to, like, no offense to Jason Todd, he's a crazy good character, but he became good after he was brought back from the dead. Like, the fans voted to kill him for a reason. I don't want to sit through like 3 movies of Jason Todd as Robin just to get to the good stuff.
Well, it doesn't even necessarily have to be 3 movies of Jason Todd.
No.
You could just have like one movie where it's Jason Todd, and by the end of it, he's murdered.
Yeah, they could do it in one as long as they have established some sort of emotional connection with the audience, that we actually care or realize the stakes or the repercussions of Jason Todd being killed.
And you'd also have to like spend that first movie building the Joker that kills Robin too. Like you can't just throw anybody in that mix. Like you can throw Jared Leto in there right now and be like, okay, this Joker is going to be the Joker that murders Jason Todd. It's more of a psychopathic Joker than we've seen, I think, before. Even Heath Ledger's Joker wouldn't necessarily be believable in that he's just going to murder Robin like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could just do a shot-for-shot remake of Batman Under the Red Hood. That animated movie is outstanding. I said shot for shot.
It sounded like the King's Speech at first.
Yeah, you're in slow motion and stuttering.
No, I said you could make a shot-for-shot remake of Under the Red Hood because that movie was outstanding.
Yeah.
Yes, and Neil Patrick Harris was Nightwing, so that's something. Anyway,
that's the only part I probably did. I didn't care for his Nightwing. Okay, so are there any villains that you'd like to see get done or done differently? I think Tommy brought up a good point. Like this would be a chance to really establish a very different Joker. One thing we haven't seen yet, and it's one of the reasons I love that character so much, is they'll go from laughing at someone slipping on a banana peel to mowing down school children. Like that's an insane, crazy. You could go so much with that character.
Wait, when did he mow down school children?
I think earlier in the comics, like in the 70s, he shot up a bunch of kids.
Because I've got this book, The Psychology of what is it called? Clown Prince of something. How's it called? Evil Clowns.
The
Sorry,
hairiest cleavage I've ever seen.
sorry. Evil Clowns and the Women Who Love Them. It's a psychology book on the Joker, and it says like that's like the one line he won't cross is children. And like Harley is a big part of that too. Harley, like there's a moment when he's about to kill a kid, and Harley is all like, "No, Mr. J, we can't do that."
she's a Southern Belle now.
Yeah, in my mind.
Oh, Mr. J. Have a mint julep.
She's now Blanche Dubois.
Yeah.
Flower.
Stella. Yeah. To answer your question, Chris. Christian, your Christian.
Souffle.
Yeah.
Christian
I want a new depiction of Two-Face.
Yeah.
Like they were getting there with Aaron Eckhart, but then he died.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really dumb. Like they.
Yeah, it was really, really dumb.
Like they what they should have done, was have it that yes, Harvey Dent is dead. The Harvey Dent that everybody knows is dead. But that fall, I mean, it didn't kill Batman. The fall shouldn't have killed Harvey Dent either.
I didn't think he was dead. Like, there's no way he's dead.
I didn't either.
Falling from that distance. I mean, there's a way.
I thought for sure he was coming back in Dark Knight Rises. I figured like he's in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
And
They
like
said he was
Bane
dead,
should
but they hit him away.
have busted him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bane should have busted out Two-Face from prison or from the asylum, and then you got Two-Face and Bane running rampage on Gotham. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, there needs to be, like, we saw Two-Face or Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, but he was just like, kind of like a Two-Face Joker, kind of.
Yeah.
He was far too comical.
Yeah.
Two-Face,
Well, I mean, that entire movie
Ace
was.
Ventura, Batman villain.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Uh, yeah, we need like a dark, not I don't want to say disturbing, but an unsettling Two-Face.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Two-Face is going to be in the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see what happens. And I was going to say the Riddler. I'd like to see a good Riddler done, but that's also coming. Paul Dano is going to be the Riddler. Like he's such a good actor. I'm really excited for how he dives into that role.
Yeah, there needs to be a good like psychological Riddler.
Yeah, and I think that's what Paul Dano is going to be able to pull
Oh
off.
yeah, for sure. All right, he can totally pull it off. Yeah.
He's such a method actor too. Like it's scary. Like
Yeah, he's come a long way since The Girl Next Door.
Oh yeah, he was in that.
He was in The Girl Next Door.
I forgot all about that. I like the only like the first thing I really like that sticks out like I remember him in is There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
That like just that movie. Like that scene when Daniel Day-Lewis is like punching him when he's like laying in the mud or whatever. He actually told Daniel Day-Lewis to beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Sorry, Darko, you were saying stuff.
He was a bit of a psycho in Ruby Sparks.
Ruby Sparks.
You see that? Yeah. So I could see the Riddler psychology. I'm more interested in seeing how like Colin Farrell's gonna do.
Yeah.
Too.
Who's he gonna be? The Penguin.
Yeah.
Yes. That's gonna be interesting.
Huh.
Colin, I love you.
Colin, I love you. Yes.
Batman just Pattinson totally breaks character and just says, Colin, I love you.
Oh no, sorry, Two-Face is not gonna be in the Batman movie. I'm looking at the cast now.
Cut out so much.
I think there'd be too many villains if they had Two-Face, Riddler, and Penguin in one movie.
Yeah, there's gonna be Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, and Carmine Falcone.
Oh, Falcone again.
Yeah, well, John Turturro is going to do it, so I think it's going to be a good role.
He'll probably just be like a background recurring character. Like he'll be
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be
like it's not going to be like Batman Begins, where he's more central.
Yeah, it's just going to be like sort of reference, I think.
All right,
Andy Serkis as Alfred should be fun too.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You're going to be in mocap. He's just in a mocap suit for no reason.
For no reason, yeah.
He's mocapping
That's
Michael
how he
Caine.
puddles.
Yeah, it's just a mocap of Michael Caine.
All right, so, Tommy, earlier you said you were asking about the Joker killing kids. So yes, I'm not sure where in current continuity it stands, but Jason Todd. Now he was a teenager at the time, but still kid adjacent. Murdering babies before he killed a citizen.
I don't count the Jason Todd killing as killing kids because I mean he was Robin, not just a kid, right? I mean,
Mike, you're a nightmare.
Yeah, just, like,
Bad timing, eh?
You have to be very subtle with it, you know? Just little.
I was halfway through the unrolling, I realized, oh yeah, they can hear this.
Yeah. Be a monster.
So, also murdering babies before he killed Sarah Essen. In The Dark Knight Returns, he killed kids at the fair, and then in Injustice, but that's its own separate continuity, he blew up Metropolis. And Metropolis is 11 million people around, and the total population of children is around 22%. So that's 2.4 million kids.
Okay, Tom, what do you got?
And apparently,
that?
I'm also reading about it, and apparently he once boiled a baby and forced its father to drink the broth as well. So I mean, yeah, he's killed kids. I take it back. I apologize.
But then
I think it's just in like the new continuity. Like ever since Harley was introduced, they might have taken that away because she's supposed to be like his conscience in a sense.
Well, I was gonna say they go inconsistent with stuff with the Joker to varying results. There was a Marvel DC comic crossover where Joker and the Carnage teamed up. I can't remember exactly happened, but something like Carnage was going to do something that would hurt America, and the Joker's like, "I will do all this, this, and this, but I will be damned if you're going to hurt the USA or something." And it was so good.
Well, he's a diplomat, isn't he? He has diplomatic immunity.
Yeah. Oh man, that's something that just
My
only
two
works in comics.
favorite villains. That's amazing. I didn't know they crossed over like that. I have to read that now.
You
Yeah,
gotta
those are my
look
two
up-
favorite villains.
You gotta look up the if you're looking up crossovers, also look up the Amalgam universe because that's ripe for like animation, man. It'd be awesome.
I will check.
Okay, so stuff. I think stuff that would be cool to see. Friggin' yeah, Cassandra Cain is Batgirl. Killer Croc done well. Bane done well. Superman, Brainiac would be nice. Brainiac would be
Yeah.
great. A Lex Luthor that isn't about selling real estate or shoving candies in people's mouths.
or maybe a little bit about the
Yeah,
real
just-
estate, but
just
not primarily. He's still about the money.
Yeah, and not Jesse
Um,
Eisenberg. That's,
Or yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was getting to by saying not shoving candies awkwardly into people's mouths when they really don't want that. That was very
When did you do
uncomfortable.
that?
They really,
In Batman
really don't want
Superman,
that.
I mean, yeah.
he was like, "You want
Well,
this candy?" And he
and
put
that's
it around
another thing.
lips like lipstick, and then popped it in
Open-
his mouth.
Open the mouth.
Oh. Jesse Eisenberg was.
another thing
why
that
did they
really-
choose him
That
as
really
Lex
bugged
Luthor?
me.
Mm.
Yeah, like that's another thing that bugged me about their choices there because I in Man of Steel before they did BVS, I didn't like it, but I was like, okay, like whatever, if you're gonna go that direction, do it. And then they come up with BVS, and like it's a 20-year-old, like Batman's already basically retired, like he's an old man, and yet you've still got this super young Lex Luthor, and it's like this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah. What else, man? Because there's so much. I think there's so much that they haven't done that they could do well. Yeah, it's just yeah. All right, I think that might be that dead air might be a good place.
Mad
to hop
Hatter.
on.
We need a good Mad Hatter.
Oh, there we
Yes.
go. Yeah,
Oh
Mad Hatter
yes,
could
the
be
Mad
interesting.
Hatter, a Victor Zsasz, a really good Victor Zsasz.
yeah, good Saz.
Although
Mm.
okay, the Zsasz in Birds of Prey is pretty cool.
It took me a while to realize that was Zaz.
I was sitting there looking at it, thinking like the whole time I'm like, is this Zsasz? Is this Victor Zsasz? And then, sure enough, got all the and I'm just that's actually pretty much how I reacted when I when I saw it. I was yes, but I mean,
Chris, you were flailing for a reason. What are you going to say?
Yes, no, it's because Tommy talking about Victor Zsasz reminded me. What I'd love to see is like, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I'm not trying to burn Christian Bale or Michael Keaton, or I'd love to see like, in a way, we get certain parts of Batman right, but
Yeah.
it's like we focus on certain things and then the other stuff negates. Like
Right.
we haven't seen proper like ninja amazing fighter Batman, but then we also haven't seen proper like detective Batman.
Right.
When they've
yeah.
done that stuff,
which
it's
is what we're
Alfred
getting with
doing the
Robert
work.
Pattinson.
Right.
But I
We're
would
getting the
love
detective with Patton.
like with Affleck, we got some of the Arkham stuff, but I still want to see like master of like 160 different martial arts Batman. I want to see like the Sherlock Holmes world greatest detective Batman. I'd love to see
Yeah.
that balance done well.
Yeah.
And you could like you don't need the big bulky suit. You can do something where it doesn't need to be the cloth tights, but you could do something where it's like, no, someone would be able to do a backflip spring kick in this, like without it being too. You don't have to like turn your whole upper body to give a thumbs up. Like,
Oh man,
I think
Batman
that's-
is
I think
just
that's what we're
Sherlock
getting at.
Holmes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Your mind just blew, didn't it?
I was like, oh, I could totally see like Batman not existing and me being like reading Sherlock Holmes and be like, you know, it'd be cool.
Being dressed up as a bat.
Yeah,
Where
well,
did
I
that
mean,
come
you know, the
from?
whole darkness, nighttime, more gritty, modern thing, and then you just work batwards from there, you know? Darker, you like that one, right? You like that one. He likes it.
That's a dark hope.
I exhaled through my nose aggressively.
But yeah, Chris, as for all the things you want to see in a Batman movie, I think that's what we're getting next year. Like Pattinson's Batman suit looks like it's not that big bulky thing that's going to be too cumbersome.
Yeah.
It looks very kind of like split up and paneled. they've already confirmed that it's really focusing more on his detective side than it is anything else. And I think I don't know if we're gonna get 160 different types of martial arts, but we're gonna get some
They still know how
pretty
to fight,
badass
right?
martial arts. Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited.
They're touting it as like the strongest Batman so far, which I don't know what that means, but it's
Strongest.
that's
like,
the thing.
physically or material wise.
I think
I
they
guess
mean
physically.
material wise. I think they mean material wise because I mean Ben Affleck's Batman. When you see his workout scenes, he's pretty damn strong.
he looked like the strongest physically.
Yeah, he's flipping those massive tractor tires over and he's doing pull-ups with cinder blocks chained to him.
Yeah,
his Batman was much like his Batmobile in that it was a friggin' tank. Like,
Yeah. Ben
But
Affleck did some crazy steroids to get that big.
outside of the outside of that Arkham Rescue sequence, that's like the one thing I've missed. I think has been missing from any of the live action Batman movies is like a really good fight, and you're like, this is so much to this character. Like the fighting piece is such a big part of him and he applies it like Sherlock does, where he uses his mind to win the fight, but then his body does it, right? Like he's planned out the entire like 8 stages of this that someone loses before they've thrown the first punch. And we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that. Whenever they do the fights, because of the limiting of the suit or whatever it is, it's always in close and shaky, or it's like wide shot and it's punches and like low level side kicks. So I know you're never gonna get like the 100+ hit combos you get in say like Arkham Asylum or Arkham City.
No, because that's a video game.
Yeah, but that's also like the best representation of Batman, like fighting wise, that in media yet.
Like I would like to see him. Like there's a guy fighting. He's fighting somebody. There's another guy 10 feet away, so he rolls over to him and punches him as he like finishes the motion. That'd be
Or he
amazing.
like throws a batarang at the other guy.
Yeah,
And finishes up with the first guy, goes back to the guy who's bataranged. I don't know, something like that.
Get
Just like
some
use his tools.
Get
his
some
gadgets.
UFC fighter. Get some UFC fighter as his like the stunt choreographer of this, so he fights in the bat suit. So then you can get a jumping spin kick off a wall that you didn't see coming.
I need like director of John Wick to be on the team of the new Batman movie.
Oh, or the what are those movies when they're in the high rises?
The Raid?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's what we need, man.
Get Eco and the other guy. I forgot his name.
The one from
Yeah.
Unbox.
Yes, just the
What's that called? Salat. They're martial artists.
I have this like vision, right? Where it's like it's Batman and he's being attacked by like 6 or 7 or 8 guys, and it's in like a subway platform-esque thing. So the lighting is like that blue sort of, and then the camera is like panned back so you can see the whole thing, and it's just sort of moving. And he's moving like maybe 1.1 times faster than everyone, or 1.15. So you get that aspect of it, like it looks like he's planned it out, and it's just like he's just going just that much faster than everybody, right?
You get that like fluidity.
Yeah, that fluidity where it's like, so it's like the video game, but it's not unrealistic. But it's almost like, he is a miraculous physical specimen or whatever, however you want to put it, right? So he is going to be better than the average enemy. And then I assume like his suit probably has some sort of servo mechanisms inside it which improve his capabilities.
they could add that.
Sure.
Dude, I love that idea. Like, because also the thing is the freaking RDJ Sherlock flicks, they showed that fight where it's like he's in the boxing thing and then he's planning it. So I'm like, that's something they've done in the comic, and then in the Red Robin solo one when Tim Drake's become Red Robin, they showed that, and that showed how he was the most like Bruce Wayne out of any of the Robins, like the detective side and how his mind worked. But the thing is, you can't recreate that in another movie now. You can't be like, okay, well, this is just ripping right off from Sherlock. It doesn't matter that the character's done it. So what I like about the way you present it is like, oh, that's how you can kind of do that.
Yeah,
You
without
do
having that monologue over.
So that dude, oh man, like sign me up with,
Or like that
It
scene
would
from
be really
Old
cool to have
West.
Batman that inner monologue, but it's just been done so much.
Darko's got it right. That's what I was thinking. Old boy.
Well,
Just do
but the hallway
the old
scene.
boy hallway shot.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be like, as soon as people see it, they're gonna be like, oh, they're just ripping off Old Boy. I don't want any rip-offs in my Batman movies.
Yeah.
Well, you
Well, you have
can't
to,
not rip.
You have to like interject your own style into it, but have that as a background influence, right?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
That'd be sick.
boy.
Or like the fight scene from Raid 2. I don't know if you guys have seen the second one.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, me
Raid
neither.
2, and like there's a fight scene in the prison that is amazing.
The ending
So
fight scene in the kitchen was brutal.
Oh man, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
All
saying
right.
something?
No. I thought I had stuff, but then total brain fart. I was like, and it's gone.
Except I think that Mo from Sherlock, like you don't need to do like the fact that you can't rip off that, and nor should you, because it's just kind of it's cheesy. It's kind of like we don't need to see that slow motion thing. We know how he's planning it out, but just to see that like
It's Darko.
Yeah,
it
I
is
just
because I
muted
can't
him.
can't hear him.
I muted myself and I could still hear it, so what couldn't have
I
been my
muted him. at the
Yeah,
spawn,
I
so-
pulled my mic out, and it wasn't me.
All right, so I'm gonna unmute Darko. Oh wait, no, he's muted himself. I guess I don't know.
Darko, say something. Okay,
Darko.
don't say something. Darko, say something. Can we kick him out?
Yeah, here, I'll remove him from the. Oh no.
Good.
I removed him from the call.
Thank you.
Poor
You
Darko.
booted him.
Dude, we can't do it. All right, well, we'll try to get him back just so we can quickly wrap up. But yeah, I think there's so much ground for Batman, Superman as well. I would love. I really want a good Superman movie that's not just. Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're just fine.
Yep.
Okay, everybody was frozen and nobody was moving, so I'm like, oh no.
We're in suspense. We can't wait to hear what you're about to say.
No, I just I want a good a good Superman movie. I think there's so much to that character.
Yeah.
Christian and I have been talking about him a lot, and we're going to be diving into stuff on our Into the Weeds thing. And they haven't nailed it yet on the big screen because everybody still either associates it too much with Donner, or it's just like, well, he's too OP and there's nothing to connect. Where it's like, there's so much to connect. And
Yeah.
also, they haven't dived into how much he has to restrain himself. Like, this is a being that if he sneezes too hard, he'll take out a block. Like,
That'd be hilarious if he sneezed on the street and blew someone's head off.
like
The R-rated Superman.
I'd love to dive into that, like just him having to hold himself back, and all that kind of thing, while still getting other non-Lex Luthor villains. You could do the death of Superman properly. I still think Superman versus Doomsday is they did it much better in the second animated movies version of it, but I still think that that would look so good on the big screen. There's untapped potential within Superman. Batman, they've nailed it a lot better than they have Supes. But I still think they could do Superman much better than they had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, there's a certain cynicism with Superman. Like, oh, you can't do him good because, like, what's gonna hurt him, and why can't he escape this peril, and why can't he do this? He can do anything. Oh, bullets bounce off him. Oh, he can fly away. Like, people are so cynical about Superman.
Which,
Yeah.
the thing is, some of that is true, and it's why they've had to constantly depower him in that Justice League cartoon and other stuff. Because you're like, does there need to be a Justice League when there's Superman?
Why
at
can't
his
Superman just take
strongest?
care of it? Yeah.
But you can still do. I still think you can do that well and do that right. And I think Henry Cavill is a great casting for it. They need to get him in the strike zone and let him grow his majestic mustache.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I think also like there's got to be an aspect of his powers developing over time, right? Like
Yeah.
of him when like not only does he strengthen them because they have to be somewhat like a muscle or a skill or something, right? Like he's got to refine them, but also he learns more about himself and maybe he develops new capabilities, not only gets stronger with the ones he has, and just things like that, right?
Yeah, like he's put in a certain situation where he like previously we wouldn't see him be able to like lift an island, let's say, right?
Right.
Mhm.
But when the time comes and he's so into it, he's so like he's exerting himself to such a point that he like unlocks that capability. If you want to talk like video game talk,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's able to do it just through sheer will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the more he has to use his power, the more like exactly. Like if he has to push himself to an extent where he hasn't pushed himself before, it'll unlock like a greater potential, right?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting. It kind of reminds me almost like a Dragon Ball Z-esque sitch, you know? And I would really love to see a crossover between like Superman and Goku. That would be
Oh,
so dumb, so awesome.
Super Saiyan Goku versus Superman.
God Saiyan, God level Saiyan.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
So Christian,
That's been there.
as you're saying this, it's like, okay, so in this new DC universe, as you're getting to the Justice League, it's because we're at a point where Superman, like, as he's still growing, he hasn't yet unlocked like his peak Superman stuff, right? So he's still. That's why there needs to be the need, and then eventually, if you want to go the Doomsday route, if you do want to get there, that's where he's like, because Doomsday in the comic like wiped out the League.
Yeah.
As he was getting there, that's where he like. So there's a bit of a tragicness there. We're finally getting like that super tier Superman, maybe not Silver Age, where he can like tow a galaxy on a chain or something stupid, but where
It's really
he's
stupid.
This is really stupid.
where
no,
he's, like Superman at his.
Do they not know anything about astrophysics? Like, come on.
Oh, man.
What chain wraps around a galaxy?
I don't know, man. I don't know. but
No, but I like that,
still-
Chris. I like that idea. I mean, like you could have Doomsday like starting like basically wipe out all the other members of the Justice League, like just take him out of action, and then he's beating the crap out of Superman, and then that's when Superman finds another gear, and powers up and like comes back at him, and that'd be exciting.
I was going to say that I think Doomsday is like a necessary thing, right? Like at some point, Superman has to come up against something that kills him, right? Like he has to sacrifice himself for Earth, right? And I think that's also because like he is, he does have that what's the word? Like that Christ archetype, right? Where he sacrificed himself for the greater good. And
that's ingrained in his DNA. Sorry.
Yeah. Because he is like, you know, he's got godlike powers, right? But and I think like after that, you know, when they bring in all the Supermen and the Superboys, and I think all that like I think when he'll come back, right? He'll resurrect.
Yeah, Crypto the Superdog.
And that's when he's like powerful enough to like do insane stuff, like almost like Mr. or Dr. Manhattan type level.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Like just to see him come back and he's like this omnipotent, just like almost light energy guy. Just that'd be cool.
So
that'd be the end though. They would have to end there because like where are you going from there, right? Yeah.
So as you were saying that, I was kind of like it's
Evil
ingrained
Superman,
in the DNA, but it's also like down into the idea of it was a father sending a son. Like even though he was saving his son, he was sending a son to protect another like group of people. So the Christ metaphor has been part of Superman from like day one.
Also Moses.
Dope. Yep, biblical metaphor. But as you were saying that, like I think you could do with Doomsday, the original Superman Doomsday movie, the end of his fight with Doomsday in that, I thought is perfect for cinema. And I'm like, just do that. Give me that. And then Doomsday was about to kill like this crying child. And that could be like that gives Superman that last bit where it gives him that last boost, but then he also unlocks it, but then he dies. But then as you're saying with the clone stuff, what could happen there is like each clone has they're less than Superman, period, but each clone can have like a part of him, like a really good part of him. But then as people are seeing that, they're seeing like this doesn't add up. Something's wrong. So then when we get there, when we get to Superman coming back, it's like, all right, here we are, perfect soups, peak soups. I do think though, like I don't think you necessarily have to end it there, just because I still think there's room. Because a later Darkseid story was Darkseid comes in, brainwashes him, and then throws him at the world. And then if he's at that peak point, but then he's being thrown at the world, that's a good logical way for him after undoing that to having to not necessarily re-earn those stuff, but work back to where he was, because now he's going to be filled with doubt. He's going to feel like he's got to prove something, but then also like
feels like
so
he's a threat.
People are going to
I'm
be
a
scared
threat
of him now, and like he's going to be an enemy of the state. That's what I was saying to him when I was like the next
He's like a
logical
good
step is
comeback
evil
story.
Superman. Like, yeah, the next logical step.
We get him to that point where he's like peak Superman, but then we take it away again, because now it's just like,
yeah,
I was used as a tool. I lost my own will, and now people don't trust me. Who am I in this? Do I need to leave? Do I need to stay? If I stay, can I be who I was? Or do I need to be something else?
Yeah.
Guys, we need to send this to Warner Brothers so they'll give us jobs.
Yeah, I have this.
We should be writing the DC movies.
It would be great, like at the end of one movie where he dies, and then the next movie starts, and like you don't really like what's gonna happen, and like maybe it starts on like the boots, and it starts panning up, and then it's Superboy, right, with like the leather jacket and stuff, and like then it's all like sort of light and breezy, and he does like it's a Spider-Man-esque, or like at the beginning of Star Trek with Captain Kirk, and he's driving the cars. It's something cool, right?
Yeah.
It's just
I'm thinking John Travolta walking down the street in Saturday Night Fever's opening.
Okay, yeah. Well, no, but like cool, right? Like that, but cool. Like,
when you like it starts on the boots, that's immediately what I thought of, because that's how that starts too. And he's just walking.
I didn't even know that.
That's too close to the Spidey 3 thing of him dancing down the street. We do the dancing, but people are going to associate it with that too much.
It'll pan out. He'll look really, really cool, and then he'll just like fly away, like I don't know, doing some naughty stuff, getting into teenage hijinks and stuff.
Doing something naughty.
Man.
Yeah, something naughty.
Oh my gosh.
Getting up some old woman's ice cap.
Yeah, maybe he'll like fly past a kid and just take his ice cream, and the kid will be like, and then like he'll just be like, and toss it, and this kid
He just takes a lick and throws it.
Yeah, like, and then it hits an old lady in the face or something. Yeah, just
and
funny.
She crashes a car.
Yeah, well, okay, now see, that's not funny, Mike.
I think it is.
Who's taking notes so we can pitch this?
It's all recorded, right?
It's all it's recorded. We've got all the evidence we need. We just need to send subtitles. We got to send this to Warner Brothers and be like, this is why you need to hire us.
So, all right, yeah, no. Oh my gosh, man! Like if they did even half of that, I'd be in so much more than I am. It's so frustrating because I want the DC movies to be so much more than they are.
Yeah.
Like there's so many lovable and great characters that people just roll over now because of the movies, but also the approach with DC is like, well, those are the godlike characters. Marvel are the street level, like the almost you and me kind of characters. It's like y'all have Sentry and several Norse gods. Like there's similar levels here.
Many people from space. Many
oh my gosh.
People from space. Pretty much everyone is from space except for Batman.
Or the Bat family. I just I want it. I want good DC stuff. I'd also, I'd also roll Shazam in. He's fun. I think he's a very fun character. He's grown on me a lot through the animated movies, but then also his own solo movie. Because then it's someone similar to Superman, but also very different.
Yeah,
like the magic stuff,
very
but also
childish. Because
exactly,
he's a child. That's the beauty of it.
Well, exactly. You've got. There's been so many good scenes in the animated movies or even the Justice League cartoon where Shazam joined, but then it was Lex Luthor manipulating stuff. But at the end, he's like, "You guys are supposed to be the good guys. You do a lot of questionable things, like rightly, but it's still like, here's the tape, here's the this. It's like you're superheroes. You're supposed to just save people, and you're not anymore. Like
Sounds like a filthy liberal to me.
Did you say guilty or filthy?
Filthy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd love to see that. Is anybody going to try to get Darko back in, or are we just signing
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening with him, but it's not like he was contributing anyway.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can get him back in here. All right, let's see. Add.
If he's naked when the video comes up, very, very upset.
I'm gonna see if he's messaged the group at all on our.
No, it
chat.
hasn't popped up on.
No complaints from me.
All right. I guess he's maybe his computer just full on crapped out.
Like, it just blew up.
All right, well, guys, I think that's a good part to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this with me today, guys. It was kind of interesting when we started. First, I was like, oh, how long is this going to go? Because we don't have anything prepped, but did I freeze again?
Yeah.
Very much.
Oh, man. There we go.
Because
You
you're
guys
wrapping
hear
it
me
up.
now?
Yes. Hear you now.
Yes.
Hear you now.
All right, cool. Sorry.
Let's try
I'll
that
try again.
Darko just joined.
What was that?
You joined just in time to say goodbye.
That's so
Just in
Darko.
Goodbye.
I was
Hey,
busy
guys.
making it break.
You missed our amazing Superman pitch, man.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to watch the podcast.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. It was outstanding. Did you make a burrito?
I was busy making an excellent
Found it in
burrito.
the couch cushions.
Mhm.
All right. So what I was trying to say is, I didn't know how today would go, especially at first, because we're like, oh, I don't know, maybe this, but I think we came up with some awesome stuff along the way. So that was really exciting. So we should do this again with some other franchises. Another fantasy film derailed. But on that note,
Same time
Dear
next week, boys.
All right.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Are you,
Awesome.
Chris? Yeah.
Yeah,
This Wednesday afternoon chat is becoming a regular thing now.
it's
Yeah,
great.
I'm liking our Wednesday chats.
Yeah, me too.
Word. All right, well,
You got
dear
cheese on your
listener-
chin.
It's worth it.
I heard someone laughing in the background. Was that your mother, Tom?
Yes.
No, my place.
Listener, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Christian, can you? I'm just trying to record, guys.
Every time you're in the sign off, this is perfect. This is so good. Take 3.
Yeah,
Thank you
try
for
again.
me.
Yes, we hear you now. Try real fast before
All
things
right.
fall apart again.
Before they fall apart again. All right, guys, thanks for doing this. Dear listeners, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and God bless, my friend. Take care. Christian and the call.
Bye.